Open-ended questions. There are question types that historians use that are similar. They just change depending upon the content you're learning. And these are the main question types. They are also the types of questions that are used on AP exams. And unfortunately, the US AP high school exam is something I will strongly not recommend based on all of the changes that is happening and how it's related to the College Board. But it used to be kind of a great thing to look at if you're shooting for honors level history. Now, a 12 and a 13-year-old can tell you why they think the civilizations of Mesopotamia were important. They can do that type of work. Some people at first will think, oh, this sounds so challenging. But it's really not. What's amazing is that the 16-year-old can do the same type of work, but it'll just be more in depth. And so each of our Take a Stand books, which are these, has each of these question types. So when you go through our program, the student is familiar with every type of history question that they will face throughout their academic career, whether in high school or college, or whether they're trying to understand current events. This is a list of influences of history. I'm interested in them. I won't bore you with them though. And they're also intertwined in our questions. So if you're studying for the American history book, your student would handle every type of history question plus every type of influence in history. And also, of course, they're focusing on learning the history. They don't know all of these things are going on. They don't know that they're practicing all of these levels of reasonings. They're just more interested in the history that they're studying. I guess to give you one example, revolutions typically take a certain cycle, whether it's the French Revolution or others. And so there's a way that historians approach revolution in studying it that helps you understand all kinds of revolutions that happen. Open-ended history questions. So these are the things that one of the things that makes history class interesting for me is I'm curious how my daughter Teresa is going to view George Washington and the Founding Fathers. And the only way I will know that is if she learns the tools of the historian, if she reads, and if I ask her. How she views it is going to be different than my son Philip, who will have read the same things, he'll have read the same tools, but he has a different perspective, a different way of looking at history. And so this is an exciting time for the parent to learn how your children think, how they analyze the past based on these questions. Also, you'll find, as my father taught me, the more you study history, the less you know. And your students will surprise you in their perspectives that they have. They're the 13-year-olds, the 14-year-olds, they will teach you things you never thought of. Good things. So it's really exciting. My 20-year-old son is home for a few days before he takes off to my wife's country to visit the Czech Republic for 6 weeks. And then he's going off to Thailand for a semester. And it's really nice to have discussions with him. He's very interesting. He's also very challenging. I often lose any argument that we have because he brings up things that I just hadn't thought of. So here are some of the open history questions that your students would encounter from our books. What was the greatest reason for the end of the Roman Empire? Why did Rome change from persecuting Christians to adopting Christianity? Was Napoleon a hero or a villain? Was Charlemagne more pagan or Christian? Who held more power in medieval Europe, the popes or the kings? What was the primary reason for the Reformation? Was the United States justified in dropping the atomic bomb on Japan? Or a topic that we just discussed in my classroom, was the United States justified in going to war with Mexico in the Mexican-American Revolution? Or was Mexico justified in going to war against the United States in the Mexican-American Revolution? Of course, you could do this with every single war, and it creates a lot of excitement. You could, of course, discuss this with Iraq and Afghanistan. And if they know the tools of the historian and they know how to do research and reading, it will be a very interesting conversation. Compare and contrast a free market system to a planned economy. Which is better? So, we all have our own biases, and it's fine that your students will find out yours. I was told by some university professors who teach primarily from the Socratic Discussion that at the end of the discussions they give their own opinions and cite their evidence. So I do that as well. And it's a great opportunity for you to let your kids know what you think. After they have done the reading, the research, the analysis, after they've done that, they will respect you more because they will see how much work is involved in forming a good opinion. It's kind of like someone who has never played the piano before. It's challenging for that person to appreciate a good pianist. So your children need to go through the work of being a history person to appreciate a good opinion. What is the proper role of religion in American education? And who has been America's greatest demagogue? So these are exciting topics that I'm very interested to hear what my students think, and you could hear what your children think about them as well.